Good morning, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Talk About It with Sam, where we discuss today's current events, life, health, wealth, and lifestyle. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more content. So much more to come. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Training with Sam. Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Talk About It with Sam. Today, I am going to be interviewing Angie. Angie specializes in decluttering and organization, which is something that we can all use in our everyday lives. Angie, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on. Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Angie Aranda, and I live in Texas, have all my life, and I'm a decluttering specialist and professional organizer. And really, it started with my own personal journey. My husband and I have a blended family of 7 kids, and although not all 7 lived with us at one time, they've all lived with us at some point. But we've had our 4 youngest live with us, and I think that was the biggest, um, reason why I had to start creating systems and putting systems in place, because also as a corporate professional, it was at the time something that I needed to balance and just really harmonize with my life because everyone was in sports. We were very involved in our church. And so there's just all kinds of crazy going on when you have everybody doing all kinds of different things. And so creating systems was something that I had to really start to implement for myself.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of kids to keep up with.
Yeah.
That's a lot of schedules. So it's like if you don't prepare and if you're not organized, I can totally see how any given day could be absolutely hectic, just absolute chaos.
Oh, yeah, for sure, and, I mean, even the meal part, just the meal part is a whole issue in itself, right? So not to now you throw in laundry and cleaning and household things and just some quality time and all of that, you just start to feel like everything's you start to feel overwhelmed if we don't really have some kind of routine or systems that we can use to support our
Do
our
you
our
feel like, yeah, absolutely. And do you
Mhm.
feel like your new systems and routines have helped you balance out your life?
So I will say this, we only have one left at home. And so all of these things that we learned were sort of like, I guess I could have done this different. And, there was things that I implemented during the time, but n but it took me a while, and it wasn't towards the end of it once they started graduating and going away that, that it was it start I started to see that it was working, but definitely, I mean, even the scheduling of the meal plans. So, for example, if you know that, I used to work my way backwards. So instead of meal planning from Monday through Saturday, I used to work my way backwards to the end, kind of figuring out what events do they have and what from there, when are we not going to be home so that I can do leftovers that day or we can go out or something like that. So all of those things I've taken from my experiences that definitely did help out and are now able to help out other families that are just starting out.
That is beautiful. So I actually do the same thing. So I do a lot of preparation also.
Uh-huh.
And I do it for a week at a time because like you said, you find yourself in such like a chaotic mode where it's like, oh, like now it's 8 o'clock and nobody's eating dinner, everyone is stressed out. And like all of that could have been avoided with preparation.
Right.
Now, what advice would you have for someone that was struggling with organization and decluttering and was really, really at the beginning stages of it?
So, one thing I want to preface with when it comes to decluttering, and I tell all my clients this, is we're not aiming for perfection. We're not trying to have the perfect looking space. And I think that it's hard right now with social media making kind of putting it out there that you have to be trendy and you have your pantry and your bins have to look a certain way and the labels and all the things, and we start to get really overwhelmed in just that we might not have the budget for all the beautiful things, but we need to start and scale down first and really pare down what we have. And I tell my clients, we don't buy any bins or anything until I know what you're actually keeping, because we end up spending money that we don't probably need. Once I make assessments, then I can spend ahead of time and know what we're keeping, right? But um, whenever someone's starting out, I say, don't worry about being perfect. It's going to take you a while, especially if you have a whole house to do, and start with things that are not sentimental, like maybe office supplies or some kitchen utensils or things that might just be everyday things that were not necessarily handed down. Because it's easier to start thinking about, what do I use? What do I love? What do I have space for? And then once you hit that muscle memory of getting rid of things, it's easier to then get to the harder things. So I always tell people, don't worry about all the heirloom things or things or gifts, sentimental items, things like that, until we're done with the basics.
Awesome. So that's actually really good because I think you're right. So I did the same thing. I kind of fell into that stereotype because when I think of organization, I think the same thing. I think of like expensive bins that are all labeled and look super pretty and everything is like organized and matches. But you're
Mhm.
right, like just getting to the root of it, just like understanding like what needs to stay and what needs to go just for a starter point. Just like starting with the
Yes,
trash and like getting everything out of it
exactly.
and and then starting to organize the things that you have left and that you are keeping.
You got it. Yep, that's right. And I'll give you an example. If we go through our house, our drawers, our junk drawers, our anything, and we find a collection of pens. I mean, how many times have we just collected all kinds of pens, maybe pens you got at an event or that you took from, somebody gave you from their business. We just start collecting all these pens. So what people do is, or what I used to do even, is get all my huge collection of pens and organize those, right? And then you can start even organizing by like color or pencils and marker, whatever. Like you start separating those into categories. What I do now is I'll say, which are my favorite? Which pens do I actually want to keep? And I only keep a few and everything else can go. Because it's not about doing the first way with collecting everything and organizing. That's organizing. We don't need to organize our junk, right?
Hmm.
We need to first minimize and simplify, because everything else is inventory. I mean, everything that we own is inventory. So, how do you want to manage that? And so, I don't want to manage a huge container of pens. I just only need a few. I keep one in my, kitchen drawer, and I keep several in my office. I keep one in my purse. I keep one in my car. And I just I mean, I don't need a million of them, right? And
Yeah.
so those are the kinds of examples I'm saying. If we start with those kinds of things, it's easier just to get that, you know, habit of thinking, what do I really want? What do I want to manage here?
So it's kind of like the same saying, like when you go shopping for clothes, like if you don't love it, you don't buy it.
Right.
Like if you
Exactly.
don't
If
love
you
it, you
don't
don't
feel
keep it.
beautiful, if you don't feel like you love how you look, then why, we don't need it. And it's same
Yeah.
thing with what's in your closet. Why are we holding on to things that fit 5 years ago but don't fit anymore?
Hmm. Wow.
Right? Because we think we already spent the money, and the money, the money's already been spent whether you keep it or not. Like, it's not making you any more money sitting in the closet. But if it makes you feel beautiful, if you feel great in it, and if you feel like your body looks good and you feel confident, then yes. Otherwise, let's make room for some of the new things.
Wow, that's great. So what other services do you offer? Or what exactly are the services that you offer?
So I offer obviously the decluttering and organizing to my clients in person, but I also offer virtual decluttering coaching. So I help people kind of go through their things, maybe talk through some of the background of, why are we keeping this? I love to uncover the why. And sometimes I go deep into tell me about how it was when you were growing up. Like, what were you used to seeing in that in that time. And also, we need to, if we live with someone else, whether it's a spouse or a roommate, we need to consider what their background is as well. And sometimes there might need to be some shifts in the mindset because, if we grew up with parents that kept everything, we just naturally do that. We don't think
Hmm.
about it. So I really like to get to the bottom of things. And so offering that in my virtual coaching, decluttering mindset coaching is an option as well. Is something that I offer.
That's awesome because I think that as a first assessment, those are habits that you carry on with you through into your adult life, right? And then
Yeah.
if you don't have someone to kind of help you create new habits, then you're going to continue on with it. So I like that a lot because I think sometimes I struggle with organization like in my house, like outside of the home, like I can be super organized, but when it comes to like Tupperware and things like that, that's something like I really struggle with.
Mhm.
But without someone teaching me about those habits, I can organize it and declutter it with you, but the odds of it going back to like a mess within the next couple of weeks are very high. So you're offering something that's really great and it's sustainable for a long time.
Yes, absolutely. And along those lines, Samantha, the thing that I do once after we've decluttered and let's say we've already pared down, let's say for example, we've pared down our kitchen cupboards and our we've taken out our mugs and we've decided which our favorites were and our cups. We haven't always have extra cups and those kinds of things. Once we've pared down, what I like to do in any room is I see how you organize naturally. So when I'm in your space or when we're talking on video, I'll see, what is it that what space is really working for you and what's not. So show me two different things. And then I can assess what kind of organizer you are by nature. And so if you are someone that is more, you like visual, like abundance, you like to see your things out, I will organize for you different than I would for someone that doesn't like to see things on their countertops, for example. And so there's a difference. So I will not come in here and organize your house based on what I like. It's got to be based on your system and how you function because that's the only way you will have long-term success. I've been to when I first started, I went to a friend's house and she had all her coffee things out, all her sweeteners and all the stuff was out. And so I looked at it and I said, well, there's space in this cupboard. I'm gonna put it up here and hide it. Right. But the next time I came over, it was already down again. So because that's what she needed. She wanted to have everything out. And in my opinion, it was too messy. I wanted to hide it. And so that's where I learned in that case that, you know what? She needs to have it down here. She needs to see it, but let's make it functional and let's make it attractive. So you can have both. It just depends on your style.
Yeah, I love that. Wow. That's wonderful. And where can people get in touch with you for your services?
So my website is www.we'resimplyorganized.com. I also have a Facebook page called the same thing, We're Simply Organized. It's WERE. And my phone number is, do you want me to add that as well? Or
You can if you'd like.
sure, it's 915-261-9170. You can also email me at Angie@we'resimplyorganized.com.
Wow, that's great. Well, before we leave, is there any other advice or recommendations that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I'd just like to encourage everyone to start small. Um, you can start 15 minutes a day, do one kitchen drawer at a time, do the drawer and be done with it. Move on with your life for the day. And just do small little things. Everything is progress. Every little small thing you do is progress. You don't have to feel like you have to take everything out of your closet all at once because now you're going to have a bigger mess. And that's a whole other conversation,
Yeah,
right? But starting small is progress.
that's great. Thank you so much, Angie, for joining us. This was a really great episode. And I personally learned a lot.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Look forward to hearing from anyone, or I would love to help anyone that's needing some guidance.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.